Okay, so we're back at it, writing equations from some information. So I don't have a picture. I know that I have a center of 7, negative 12, and I know that it passes through the point negative 3, 5. So if we just want to use our circle formula, we've got x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. So you can do the distance formula if you want, but the circle formula is really just the distance formula. Think about what the distance formula is. The square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. So let's just keep that there for a second. So here I've got a center of 7 and negative 12. So if I go ahead and plug that in, so I have a positive 7, so I write a minus 7. And I have a minus 12, so I write a plus 12. And we still need to figure out what that r squared is, right? So I know that it passes through this point, negative 3, 5. So if I go ahead and I plug that x is negative 3 and that y is 5, so negative 3 minus 7 squared plus 5 plus 12 squared equals r squared. So now I can simplify this. So a negative 10 squared is going to be 100. And 5 plus 12 squared, that's 17 squared, is 289, sorry. So now I get that that's r squared, which is 389. Well, that's the same thing that I would have done over here, right? I would have taken x minus x. So I would have taken 7 minus negative 3 and squared it. And then I would have taken y minus y, so negative 12 minus 5 squared. Okay, so now my distance really just becomes my radius because that's the square root of that r squared. Well, there's that 10 squared, which is 100. And there's that negative 17 squared, which is the 289. So now I have r is the square root of 389, which means that r squared is regular 389. See how that works? So we're just using that formula, but it's the exact same thing as the distance formula. So now if I'm writing my final answer, I have x minus 7 squared plus y plus 12 squared equals 389, equals that r squared. Boom. Done. Okay. Next. Write the equation of a circle that has endpoints of the diameter on these 2 points. So you've got to think about what we're given. Okay, we're given the diameter, and we know that the diameter is twice as big as the radius. So if I have these endpoints of my diameter, what I can do is I have to first find my center. Remember, in order to write the equation of a circle, you need two things. You need your center, and you need your radius. Well, that's a bad D. Okay, so to find the center, I'm going to use my midpoint formula. Do you remember midpoint? Flashback to geometry right now. We have x1 plus x2 divided by 2. It's like the average. And then y1 plus y2 divided by 2. So that's going to be how we find our midpoint. So my midpoint, or my center, is going to come from adding up and dividing by 2 my x's and my y's of my diameter, because the center is the midpoint of your diameter. There's that beautiful picture I have for you. So I'm going to take negative 17 plus 5 and divide by 2, and then 1 plus 7 and divide by 2. So I'm going to see that my beautiful center here is going to be negative 6, 4. So that's my center. That's my h and my k. So if I think about plugging that into my circle formula, so I have x minus h. So I have a minus 6. I write a plus 6 squared, plus y minus k. I have a positive 4. I write a negative 4 squared, equals, well, now I have to figure out what this r squared is. So just like we did on the last problem, except on the last problem I gave you the center and a point. Now we found the center, so it's up to you. Which point do you want to use? It doesn't matter. Pick whichever one makes your heart happy. I think this one's going to make my heart happy because I don't have a negative, and it's just less wishy-washy. So now I'm going to take that 5, I'm going to plug it in here. So 5 plus 6 squared, plus, I'm going to take my y as 7, I'm going to plug it in here. 7 minus 4 squared, and that's going to give me my r squared. So this is 11 squared, which is 121, and this is going to be 3 squared, which is 9. So I get that 130 equals r squared. So now I'm done. I'm just going to basically rewrite this whole thing up here, except instead of r squared, I'm going to put 130. So final answer, ladies and gentlemen, x plus 6 squared plus y minus 4 squared equals 130. Boom. Okay, one more. Yippity-doo-dah. So, you know, the inevitable word problem here. We have a cell phone tower services a 10-mile radius. You get a flat tire 4 miles east and 9 miles north of the tower. Are you in the tower's range? So basically you're trying to figure out, are you going to be stranded there on the side of the road forever, or are you going to be able to call AAA and get some help? So first, do you know your north, south, east, and west business? This is north, south, west, east. Never eat soggy waffles. All right, so if I have this cell phone tower, there's the tower, beautiful. And I get a flat tire, 4 miles east. So I'm going this direction 4 miles. And 9 miles north means I'm going this direction 9 miles. So here's my little car. And I've got a flat tire right there. What I want to figure out is, am I within that cell phone range of 10 miles, right? This is telling me the cell phone range is 10 miles. So this is 10 miles. 10 miles. That's the question. Is this within that 10 miles or is it not? So if we want to put some words to that, is this radius less than 10? That's going to tell us is the point 49, because that 4 miles east, 9 miles north, that's what this point is right here. Inside or outside of a circle with radius 10? That's what we are asking. That is the question of the day, ladies and gentlemen. So we're going to say that the circle here is centered at the origin. So I am going to decide if I have x squared plus y squared, is that less than 10 squared? So I'm changing this to a 10 squared because that's my radius, and I'm changing this to a less than because if this is less than 10, I'm going to be saved. I'm not going to be stranded. So x is 4 and y is 9. So 16 plus 81 equals, less than 10 squared. I guess technically we can have less than or equal to because it's got that 10-mile radius. So now we have that 97 is less than or equal to 100. Boom. We are saved. Yay. Okay, happy homework checking.